Today we are going to speak about how Infosys helped partnering with Kraft Heinz and help them build their Snowflake optimization journey. This is Sudhir Nune. I'm from Infosys. I'm a senior technology architect at Infosys. I have Karen with me joining in.
Hi everyone, I'm Karen Blomberg, lead analytic platforms at Kraft Heinz, and we're really excited to share our journey with you today. So I'll jump in and go through our agenda. So I'll give you an overview of Kraft Heinz. We'll talk about Snowflake in action at Kraft Heinz and how we use it. Take you through our optimization journey. And then Sudhir will talk about the components and capabilities of the solution, the types of opportunities that we look for, and finally, why did we choose to build instead of buy? So Kraft Heinz is one of the largest food and beverage companies in the world. We have 26 billion in net sales, 40 countries with employees, over 36,000 employees, and 1.3 billion in meal donations to help combat food insecurity. So there's a picture with a couple of our products on there. Heinz ketchup is missing, apologies there. I don't know if anyone recently watched the Indy 500 race and happened to see the Wienermobiles were in the pre-race. So that was one of our fun marketing campaigns. We really enjoyed that. We have many other products that are in our retail stores as well as food service. So hopefully when you go to the stadiums, you'll see Kraft Heinz and ketchup at your next game, and you'll enjoy it. I want to share with you just the statistics about our Snowflake implementation. So over 67,000 credits monthly we consume. We have over 600 terabytes of storage and over 350 warehouses. In those warehouses, about 8 million queries per month. So you can see our 67,000 employees really do leverage our Snowflake system. These are some of the key functions that we use in Snowflake. So data transformation jobs, streaming jobs. I think our approach has been to be an early adopter of any of the new features. So in partnership with Snowflake along the way. More recently, I think we've had a lot of success with dynamic tables and a lot of discussions performance tuning them and looking at those new features like the date timestamp as well to help us through that. All of this, again, is to enable data-driven decisions for our company so that we can realize value for Kraft Heinz as well as our customers. So here's the slide on our journey. What's missing is in 2020 was our production implementation of Snowflake. And then we spent the next few years basically building those ingestion pipelines, getting in the data we needed to realize those business use cases that were highest priority. Around 2023, we're also doing some organization and building our data engineering chapter and building our rituals and routines to help us, build very stable and secure things within Snowflake. And that's when we took the opportunity to really look at how we're using Snowflake. What is the cost of those data products that we built so far? And, do we have any opportunities to improve how we're storing those data products and loading those data products? And in partnership with Snowflake, we realized, hey, we definitely see some ad hoc users. They're using large warehouses. Maybe that's overscaled. We might have some monthly jobs that are running, and those jobs are not performing as well as we want. Maybe those don't have a big enough warehouse. So there was a lot of trade-offs. And we took a look at very specific opportunities that we thought could be taken. So in the first half of 2024, that's when we launched a project and we had specific opportunities determined. We've assigned those opportunities to owners of them, and then we worked through that project plan to address all those opportunities, to get the right size data warehouses, to fine tune those queries that were just performing and taking up too many resources. And we realized over $56,000 in annual benefits by doing that. So we said, hey, we're onto something. We really need to make this a sustainable, repeatable process. We know our environment's only growing. We know the features from Snowflake are going to keep coming, and we're going to need to keep adjusting those things. So that's when, in Q3, again, we partnered with Snowflake and Infosys. We looked at, hey, what's the capabilities that we have, native Streamlit, and the ability to build models right within Snowflake so that we could automate this process. And so by the end of 2024, we had built our model, built our app. We had a way to run our Q4 opportunity analysis, and again, send those to the owners and have them work on resolving those issues. So jump into this year, Q1, we really spent a lot of time now having it on a schedule, and it's a regular routine. And then we said, hey, we need to elevate this a little bit more. We know more about how people are using that Streamlit app and who's using it. So we partnered with our user design team and said, let's elevate the UX a little bit. So that's an investment we're working on right now, as well as continuing to talk about more of the capabilities that we want to implement in the future. So with that, I'll let Sudhir talk about the components of the solution.
Thank you, Karen. So as any solution we talk about, we have components and capabilities. So the components, three major components we have in the solution is your user interface, then coming to the brain, and finally, assignment and tracking is very important in this journey for us to realize any of the value. So user experience, we ensure that visibility provides a lot of information. Without the visibility, a lot of companies or teams will lose the information of what they need to act on and what should be acted upon. Then brain is what we have created, which has the ability to understand what should be categorized as an opportunity, where the usage is, how the patterns of usage is. Finally, as I said, without having the action plan, it's not useful to create the opportunities. So that's where the tracking and assignment comes into picture. So we have a strong capability to build in the workflows, whatever the system workflows we have with the company. We have integrated all of those workflow systems so that the work is sent to the team rather than team has to come into a specific application or a process. So jumping onto the capabilities. So the first capability I want to talk about the dashboards. So we have a rich set of dashboards which provide the cost visibility at a level of a query with various dimensions of slicing and dicing based on the usage, based on people, based on the interactions we do. And we have a month-on-month report which can tell you what happened last month versus this month and tries to show you the details about what changed between those 2 months. Pick any month between 2 periods, it would show you what has changed and what is your implications, what has driven the cost for your organization. This provides the visibility for the organization with the usage and statistics. Then once you know the usage, where you have been spending more, where you have trying to save the cost, that's where the optimization comes in. We have an engine which creates these opportunities, understands the opportunities, tries to grade them, categorize them, and we create the top N opportunities based on the configuration, and we create these opportunities in the system. And these opportunities, we have 19 of those group of opportunities, which we will talk in the next slides. That 19 opportunities are currently being in production, and we have the system being using them and scheduled sending these opportunities to the teams. Coming to opportunity itself, having details about each end opportunity is very important because that's how the actor or the data engineering team or the user has the information why it's called an opportunity and what is that they have acted upon. We have tailored these characteristics of each and every opportunity to make sure that they understand and get the characteristics needed. For an example, the table. If I'm trying to flag a table, this is something which you can look into from a storage optimization. I give them how many people are using, how frequently it is being loaded, how much data is there, how frequently the data is being deleted, a lot of statistics related to the storage. Coming to the compute, we have each of the opportunity type has its own set of characteristics, helping the person who is acting on it to understand exactly why it is called an opportunity and what is the elements they have to work on. Assignment and tracking, as I said, We have integrated with Jira, ServiceNow, and API-based applications, so where we can send these opportunities to the users, like your end users might be your data engineers or actually business applications who can look into those scenarios, opportunities, and understand and act upon it. They can provide the feedback, and that feedback is again looped back into the system, and we have the information in one place to see what is the opportunities which are in progress, what are currently worked upon, and what are resolved. Auto certification. This is one of the features which we really are pride about. Auto certification will help the business team and as well as us as a team to understand how much am I able to save actually. With these opportunity certifications, when an opportunity is closed, or eventually we try to run a periodic assessment of this each and every opportunity, what is the state, whether it is able to do anything in the system, how are we actually able to use this particular opportunity, we can figure out how much saving we were able to make by each and every opportunity. By opportunity, we provide a saving, understanding what was the current usage versus after the optimization, what is the usage looks like, and provide a saving, percentage of saving, and actual credit saving, which would show to the system. Finally, every good system has to be configurable. We know every environment changes, every other system changes. So we have it configurable so that you can adjust the number of days you want to look back for your analysis, which we are trying to understand based on my 30 days window, 50 days window, or my 9 months of window, what I need to look at analyzing my information. And also, I want to generate only top 50, top 100, top 200 based on my how frequently I see the opportunities or the where the areas of focus I can switch, turn on, turn off some of these opportunities and when and where they are running and how frequently they are running. Now, let's get into the opportunities itself. So as we have categorized into 3 different sets of opportunities: compute-based opportunities, storage-based opportunities, and housekeeping. I will touch upon few like high cost queries. We know a lot of us have small queries, but every small query adds up to the cost in a Snowflake world. Where high cost is, what we define as a high cost is, you might have a query which might be just taking 1 credit. Let us imagine that if it is running every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, the cost is going to be just boosted up. So we would track those queries to understand what is the average runs per month and average cost consumption. And these are the queries we will try to understand from the data engineers or with the actual producers of this query to understand what is the cost implication and is it needed. Sometimes all we do is we just schedule and leave them. So some of these are the opportunities which would be easily helping us to reduce the cost. The second one I want to touch up is the weekend execution. We all schedule the jobs over the weekend and we will leave it, and it's during the development phase or initial phases we will do it, but there is no actual consumption. So we do track the consumption of these data loads happening over the weekend. If there are no active consumptions apart from the regular data engineering processes, then we would flag them as our opportunities so that we can actually enhance them, work on them, and try to see if there is any schedule changes we can make. And the third one I want to touch upon is view to table conversion. This is very important topic. What we have seen is there are places where people create a view in the initial stage and they want to understand how the consumption would be. Soon enough, this is a repeated queries we get onto the views. As we see the views, number of queries goes onto the views, the cost is increased if the query is complex enough and it produces a lot of credits. That's where we identify those views and make it converted into actually a table. We persist that as a table so that we can have more optimized way of delivering the data and the query cost can be reduced. Onto the storage, backup tables. Traditionally, we have seen when new applications are implemented or when you have a transition or you're modernizing, you would create backup tables with the fear of losing the data, even though Snowflake provides the efficient mechanism of time travel, backup, fail-safe, and all of that. Still, we have that human emotion of losing the data. So that's where we create backup tables, which is never dropped. So what we do as part of this process is we keep scanning every table, how based on the access history and query history, we are trying to understand what it is doing, how it is, and then we flag these backup tables, and we do have an automatic mechanism. If we enable those mechanisms, it would drop those tables if it is not after a few months of monitoring. So we do have an auto cleanup there, which would be part of the housekeeping. And permanent to transient table conversion. This is one key thing a lot of places people would not really go into is the transient. So in Snowflake, we pay active storage, you have your cloned storage, fail-safe, and time travel. Fail-safe, if you take a deep look at your accounts, fail-safe is one of the key things which should be adding up soon. So what we do is whenever we see a table is getting truncated frequently, or if it's getting dropped and recreated as part of your transformation jobs, we try to convert those tables to transient so that we don't lose the actual functionality from a disaster recovery, fail-safe. None of those functionalities are missed, but the fail-safe part of the data would not be there. That fail-safe storage, which is not really needed because anyway you're daily dropping the table and recreating it. So that is the one benefit we have seen. We have been able to recover around 100 terabytes of data, which is there out the system, where we were able to recover some of these benefits out of that. Housekeeping, unusual queries. So when we have systems generating unusual queries, we do monitor them, saying why these burst of queries are getting created, and scheduling the same standard behavior of people schedule a refresh for a report or a job and try to see why it is behaving the behavior patterns, and we will try to understand what are the different queries and why it is causing this particular queries to be generated. One more information which we look into is warehouse parameters and session details. Very important information which we try seeing is, at an account level, a lot of people set this particular parameters, but at a warehouse level, if you miss that particular parameter, always the user can set its own parameter and can overkill the amount of usage it would be. So having a proper session timeout will help us to ensure the queries are run with a specific boundary of execution time. These are few things which we have done. So this particular, each and every capability helps us lower the overall cost of execution and also keeps our control of the budget and the usage cost of it. So we built everything in Snowflake. So from scratch, we were trying to do everything in the Snowflake. So we use the Snowflake provided our account usage data, access history, organization data, organization usage data. All of them are combined together and we have the metadata created around this particular thing. How do we use it? What is the purpose? And we have two left brain and a right brain in our optimization. One is deterministic opportunities. The other one is a model-driven opportunities. So in the deterministic opportunities, we have a standard set of rules built in saying, okay, these are the specific rules according to which you have to play around and try to find anything which crosses those rules or which fails those rules will be created as an opportunity. Then from a modernization and model-driven opportunity perspective, this is where we are using for providing right warehouse sizes, recommending correct warehouse queuing sizes, and clustering is what we have recommended and got out of this particular process. So these two brains will provide us, the left and right provides us the opportunities, and we have created the functions which would feed the information for a couple of things. Like we do send a frequent reminders to the users about what is the due date for them to complete this, where the current status is, how it's helpful for them. It would send the reminders, it would try to do the allocation, it would send these particular tasks to the users. And overarching, we use Streamlit to provide this entire user experience in one single pane about the reporting, what we discussed about the usage. All of the information and statistics are stored in the Snowflake Streamlit, and we have this entire application created in Snowflake native app. So the entire application is built in core inside Snowflake so that we don't have to send our data back outside, or the entire data stays inside the application and inside the account. So this is our architecture for the entire solution what we have developed. Karen, you want to touch upon?
Yeah, and I can talk about why did we choose to build it instead of buy it. And I think when we discovered the tools that we had within Snowflake, we said, why not? Everything in Snowflake, don't move the data, maintain the same security model, etc. We have a single pane of glass. Now I kind of wish I had a screenshot, but if you imagine, it shows you what the utilization is for our Snowflake environment. It shows you what opportunities are identified and the expected savings you could have if you address those opportunities. And then it finally will show you the opportunities that have been addressed already and what were the savings related to those opportunities, and gives you that time duration profile as well. So that single pane of glass was true value there. Flexible, we're able to adjust it as we go. We're definitely learning things along the way about what opportunities we have noticed and how to solve them, and we can enhance those capabilities. Faster implementation cycles because it's right within Snowflake and we can promote it through our environments there easily. And then no vendor lock-in or additional fees, just Snowflake utilization, which we do monitor our own selves also.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us.